On Wink News, can the character of pre-Hurricane Ian Fort Myers Beach be saved? Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Nicole Gage.
And I'm Russ McCaskey. In our special series, A Man with a Plan, we're profiling the rebuild of the Barrier Island town through the eyes and experiences of a local builder. And he says the answer to that question is yes, one family at a time. Wink News investigative reporter Celine McArthur explains.
Every one of these gutted homes and piles of rubble has a story. Some are heartbreaking, others traumatizing.
My neighbor tried leaving. He didn't make it, to say the least.
All of them life-changing.
My dad always said if money can fix it, it'll be okay. We just have to find enough.
As Fort Myers Beach slowly rebuilds, some wonder if the old charm and Barrier Island vibe will be lost.
Disasters like this can bring out good and bad.
Tammy Drake sees the good. She's a bartender at Wahoo Willie's, one of the first restaurants to reopen after the storm.
How are your wings? Very good.
Really good.
She's also lived on Fort Myers Beach for 27 years and can't imagine her life anywhere else.
Oh, this is home. This is home. The whole island, the community, the water, the weather, the family.
Her sense of humor and optimism speak volumes. Amazing once you see what she lost during Ian. This picture was taken near the height of the storm. Look closely, and you'll see only her roof standing above the surge.
Watching everything float by and watching your whole life wash away, it's traumatizing.
And this gutted, broken shell is all that's left.
When you see your home now,
I don't look at it. I don't even look over. Honestly, I think any anger I have towards this whole situation, I feel towards my house. Everything else is kind of replaceable, but that family unit and home and, you know, the place to lay your head and just feel all the feels is just, it's gone.
Tammy is a single mother of 2 daughters. Her youngest rode out the storm with her at a neighbor's house. It was a frightening experience.
She's traumatized. Her dad has her in therapy.
Tammy is currently staying in a neighbor's trailer with their 2 dogs. She says Maddie needed far more stability and structure, so she's currently staying with her father out in Seattle. That loss hurt this mother the most.
After losing everything and then watching her go, that was rough. She's my sidekick. She's always with me.
Beach builder Joe Orlandini knows this for a fact. He lives nearby and saw their bond firsthand.
Her daughter was very upset. I could tell it was traumatizing to her. Her daughter will not come back until there's a new house here, and a house that is not on the ground.
When Ian hit, it hit hard, and Tammy simply could not afford property insurance on her salary. Without it, Tammy had no idea how to raise the money to rebuild. In comes a man with a plan.
I had a supplier reach out to me and offer to donate supplies. And that's when the idea came to me, and I decided that if we gathered up enough support, maybe in a situation like Tammy's, maybe we could get enough support to do an entire house.
He says a neighbor loved the idea and offered to help.
He says, hey, I'll help. I'll give you money. What do I got to do?
More neighbors came forward, and Joe grew even more confident this plan could work. He says it'll cost about $350,000 to rebuild this home to the latest hurricane codes.
Of course, I have some additional work to do, so I have to find some other supplies, things like cabinets and countertops and an assortment of probably all the interior stuff. We haven't secured a roof yet, but I'm sure I can find someone to help there. But I feel we have enough that we got to a point that we're gonna go for it.
Well, today we're going to see Tammy Drake.
Joe wanted to break the news to Tammy while she was at work, surrounded by friends and family in this tight-knit community.
I think I expect her to probably cry. She's probably going to be overwhelmed.
I insisted we tag along. He was more than willing to have us there because he sees Tammy's story as not just inspirational, but also motivational for others in the community.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Howdy, neighbors. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you be okay if we tore down your house? You would? Because we're going to build a new house there. That's okay. No. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Seriously?
Yes. So we can demo your house? Build you a new one? Okay.
Joe? I'm in shock. I'm shaking like a leaf. He's going to bulldoze and rebuild. And I'll have a home for my girls to come home to.
Joe didn't tell her how much this not-so-small gesture will cost.
$350,000.
That's huge. Way more than I'd ever deserve. I don't even know what to say. Just hold. I'm sorry, I'm on camera.
Tammy says it was humbling and heartwarming to find out neighbors are also pitching in.
It just says so much about this community. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's what's keeping me here. You know, it's just how everybody's just pulled together and there's so much love here. Oh my God. Oh, there she is. There she is. You ready?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi, Maddie. How are you?
We have a surprise for you. Joe and all of our other neighbors are going to help build us a house.
Amazing.
Isn't it amazing? And you'll have your own room again with all your mermaids.
Yay.
Yay.
You are the favorite.
Oh, you're welcome, Maddie. We're actually going to send you some pictures of it so you can actually see the house being built and you'll be able to see your new room.
And it'll be up
Thank you.
high so it'll never flood again. Oh, she's got the happy giggle. I love this.
I got happy giggles.
You got the happy giggles.
Yes, you do.
For Joe, sometimes the plan is about what it means, not what it costs. You changed someone's life today.
I did. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to cry. Not going to do it.
What he is going to do is make sure this family is in their new home for the holidays.
A storm surge wiped her out until all of Fort Myers Beach mother had was a hammer and hope.
In came Wink News investigative reporter Celine McArthur, who introduced you to a man with a plan and created a storm surge of another kind, a tidal wave of community hope.
Does this feel awkward to tear your own house down?
A little bit.
Does it? Okay.
As Tammy Drake climbs into the cab of this excavator and prepares to level her Fort Myers Beach home, she's feeling a mix of emotions.
Part of me is beyond ecstatic. I don't have to look at that anymore, and we have something beautiful and flood-proof going in. But then, you know, that's where my kids were born and raised, and there's so many memories in that house.
But the memory of riding out Hurricane Ian with her daughter Maddie, watching their house, their home, disappear into the storm surge is one they never want to relive. So this house has got to go.
This demo has been more than a month in the making, and when all of this debris is cleared away, this is what's going to take its place. A brand new house high in the sky, so hopefully it never floods again. Now, Joe Orlandini tells me this project is expensive. It's going to cost about $350,000. His suppliers have stepped up, neighbors have stepped up, and when our story aired, there was a tidal wave of support flowing in.
People wanting to supply roofs, contribute and donate cabinets and labor and even furniture. I had someone that said, I want to do Maddie's bedrooms, and that was really, really cute and nice.
Oh, Oh, so much outpouring of love. I have people come up to me multiple times a day just saying they saw the story. They're all teared up. They make me all teared up. And the response has been absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful.
Then came the big one. A whale of an opportunity from Wink News viewers Mike and Dawn Miller, who watched our story about Tammy and Maddie.
We absolutely love the story.
We felt for her. We want her daughter back home with her. So we were like, we've got to figure out a way we can help.
While they're also rebuilding their Fort Myers Beach landmark, the Millers bought the Whale restaurant in June of 2022.
We absolutely fell in love with it.
3 months later, gone, destroyed by Hurricane Ian. Well, the Millers are staying, and they believe their neighbors, who were virtual strangers, should be able to stay put too. So Mike called Joe with a plan of his own.
Sends back a text and he says, what, $100,000 help? Completely blown away. I texted back Mike, I think, oh my God, I can't believe it. Are you serious? You know, for real?
It's real. We were there when the Millers handed Tammy a check for $100,000.
You know I'm going to leave here and go puke, right? I was in shock, just absolute shock. I mean, they have so much to rebuild already between their home and their business, and to give to, you know, my family is just, it tears at the heartstrings. Beautiful, thank you.
And then it happened again. Another big donation, $20,000 from a neighbor who asked not to be identified by name. With a plan in hand, money in the bank, and a community behind them, Tammy is ready to build a new foundation.
A Wink News exclusive at 4:30. An iconic piece of Fort Myers Beach lost in Hurricane Ian will be replaced. Hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Safati in for Russ.
I'm Amanda Hall. We are talking about the big blue clock. In our special series, A Man with a Plan, Wink News investigative reporter Celine McArthur sits down with the beach builder behind the project to get the story.
The last thing this man has is time on his hands, but ironically, time is what he's focused on here.
This is one of the centerpieces that people came to see and took pictures of. It illuminated at night and was the backdrop for thousands and thousands of pictures. It's probably the most iconic landmark potentially of the island, and for sure for Times Square.
Visitors miss it.
But it's just part of the beach experience. You come down in December and you just expect to see the tree and like the clock that's gone, the Times Square clock.
Fort Myers Beach builder Joe Orlandini is on a mission to bring the big blue clock back to Times Square. He began searching for it the day after Hurricane Ian made landfall.
I had an excavator dig, move piles around, sift through them, literally move pile from one side of the street to the other. I think initially I was pretty upset when I couldn't find it because I really was determined to find it.
And since he couldn't turn back time, Joe and his partners bought a new one.
And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, what are you thinking?" He says, "You know where it came from?" He says, I said, "Yes." So he said, "Well, don't you think we should get the clock?" Okay, let's do it.
He reached out to the Verdon Company in Ohio to see if they could make the exact same one.
And they said, "Sure, send us a check. We'll build you a clock."
And time is money. $38,000. But to Joe, it's money well spent.
We definitely want to keep the character and keep the vibe of the island, and that's the key.
But it's more than a landmark. It's a sign of the times moving forward.
So that the businesses find their way to stay here, to rebuild. There's been a lot of concern of some of them leaving. The new ones that come, hopefully they're embraced. And we love them just as much, and they become part of the community, which is important. We want them to bring an economy back here is what we need, and we have to value them coming in and helping. It's vital for our economy. It's how we survive. We live off this land, and off this land are these people that bring the money that we live off of.
Joe also replaced the palm tree that gets decorated for the holidays and has been searching for other landmark pieces lost in the storm.
Can I bring it back to him?
Yeah, you want to bring it back to him?
Yeah.
That's what a tuna-skin signs. So roll it up real properly.
He found the tiki head that sat outside the Yucatan beach stand across Matanzas Pass and brought him home.
Even though it's small and the whole
scheme of what we have to do, but it was entertaining, it was fun. It put a lot of happiness back.
That happiness sparked a community-wide effort to find and return other pieces, like the big giraffe.
He's got a broken leg on one side, and he's got a missing one. He's an amputee now. Yes. He needs a vet.
While they're a little beat up, they survived. A message that resonates in this storm-ravaged beach community.
Like, you know, we need that. We need that positivity, and if we can find those pieces, we bring them back.
The company says it's going to take about 4 months to get the job done, and you can count on us to be here when it's delivered and installed. On Fort Myers Beach, I'm Celine McArthur, Wink News.
Wink News was the first to report a local beach builder and his investors commissioned a new pedestal clock, a replica of what once stood there for more than 20 years. In a Wink News exclusive, investigative reporter Celine McArthur travels to Ohio with a man with a plan to watch the clockmakers finish the job.
Time flies when you're with a man with a plan. We're going on board with Joe Orlandini as he travels 1,000 miles to check on the status of a build of a landmark that can take Times Square in Fort Myers Beach back in time.
And like time, Joe Orlandini doesn't stand still. He's busy rebuilding Fort Myers Beach, so he only has 12 hours to get to Cincinnati and back. His mission?
We're going to put this on today.
To make sure the $38,000 clock is ready to become the welcoming face of Times Square. Peter Verdon says his family's business, the Verdon Company, has been making clocks for 181 years.
I'm the 7th generation of this company. We started in 1842, came here to Cincinnati from France. We've made bells and clocks ever since.
But this is the first time one of their landmark clocks washed away in a storm. So they dug into the more than 20-year-old project file to recreate it.
They might look the same on the outside from today to 20, 30 years ago, but we've got a full engineering team that will look at everything from how the head is attached to the base to how the base is attached to the ground, and even the products on the inside to make sure, like the timepiece and the controller, the hands, the drive shafts, everything to make sure that they're the best possible component that we can put in a clock today.
The teal may surprise you, but as you can see in these 2001 pictures, it's authentic.
Oh, this is the authentic. Look, it's the exact color match, too, to the original.
And if you look closely at what's left of the clock base in Times Square, you'll see the teal there, too.
Fort Myers will be happy to know that they have the only Verdon clock that color in the world.
There it is.
Excited with the results, Joe flies back to Fort Myers Beach to plan for the clock's arrival.
I hope everyone comes to touch it, is what I want them to do. That way they can feel it. Their feet are here on the ground, and they're part of the community again.
Some of you have been asking what happened to the old clock. Joe says he started digging for that clock just days after the storm, but had no luck. However, the mystery has been solved, sort of. Take a look at this picture. It's the clock, buried in a pile of trash that landed in a pool nearby. Sadly, the clock that was lost in Ian and then found is likely gone for good. That trash was hauled away at a time when the family was dealing with the disaster. In the meantime, Joe hopes the new clock, which as you can see is now on Fort Myers Beach, will be installed by the 4th of July. And you can trust us to keep you posted on the progress.
Well, who doesn't envision having a nice little cottage right here on the beach?
So we're not talking about a home. We are talking about a landmark. One popular Fort Myers Beach Barn restaurant lost from Ian is coming back.
And so many people have memories inside the cottage. And a Wink News exclusive investigation from reporter Celine McArthur this morning found out a cottage on the beach is exactly what a man with a plan has in mind.
It's a little scary.
It's hard for Roxanne Zakaitis to walk through what's left of the cottage. It had been there for decades.
I just want to cry. This place was so special to so many people. Every day when I see people, all they do is ask about the cottage.
They ask because in many ways, Roxanne was the cottage. She worked at the beach bar for 20 years, right up until Hurricane Ian hit.
That's the best job I ever had. It was so fun. Everybody felt like they were home when they were here.
This is what it was. This is what's left. That home is gone, but thanks to Roxanne, hundreds of souvenirs remain to tell its story. Pictures and videos of people enjoying sunsets, celebrating holidays, and helping friends in need.
A lot of people have a lot of memories like that. They want to make more.
Roxanne also kept every single work shirt she's ever worn.
I bet I probably got 100 different cottage shirts over the last 20 years, and I still have them all. But I'm super proud that I was a part of something so awesome.
The cottage was beyond repair, so the owners put the property up for sale. They had 2 buyers, but both backed out before their deals were done. In comes beach builder Joe Orlandini, a man with a plan and a story that began about 2 decades ago.
The first day I came to Southwest Florida, probably 20 years ago, the person I was meeting said, when you get in the cab at the airport, tell them you're going to the cottage. They'll know where to go. The first Floridian I met outside of the cabbie was Roxanne. She was working at the bar.
They became friends, and as a regular at the cottage, Joe found himself part of a new community. This was home.
It had this just unique vibe, and it really brought a lot of people together in the evening that socialized. You got to know who all your neighbors were.
Some of those people are gone now. Some were taken by the storm, others left because of the storm. But Joe believes building back one of the barrier island's anchors will help build a new sense of community for people who are still here and for those yet to come, like Joe did nearly 2 decades ago. So he assembled a team to rebuild the cottage.
I freaked out. He actually had to ask me if I was sitting down because he knew I was going to freak out. He knows what the island wants and what it needs. Like you said, he's the man with the plan. He's going to get it done.
The name will be the same, but the cottage is going to look a little different. Let me explain why. Originally, there were 2 distinct sections to the property, right? The beach bar and the waterfront restaurant. The restaurant, Shuckers at the Gulf Shore, was closer to the water on these pilings. Well, now, due to new building codes, this section is beyond what's called the Coastal Construction Control Line. In short, you really can't build beyond where I'm standing. That means the cottage is going to be smaller.
I think when the new building goes in, you're not going to notice when you're standing on the sand and the umbrellas are out and the chairs are out and people are here.
Here's a preview of what the outside could look like.
We've got the bar downstairs with the main floor being above flood, essentially a roof deck on top, which will have a partially roofed enclosed area so that we can enclose the elevator and close down the bar, lock it in, but it'll have an open deck.
And while things may be different, there will be some touches that will remind everyone of home. He's collecting all the original clay bricks.
Let's get her out. There we go. Yeah, we want that piece too. Yeah, that piece is going to be good.
Literally digging in the sand and rubble to create a special wall inside the new cottage.
We are going to etch people's names in these bricks that are iconic people from the island. I think this is just one of those ways that we can save a piece of our history, and they were left for us here, so let's save them.
Hurricane Ian also left this.
You know what was around this was actually the dumpster. So it took everything out around it, but it left this one post that had the address on it. So we've obviously got to save it, and we'll reuse it.
As the post is pulled from its current foundation and work begins on the plans for the new cottage, Roxanne is happily and patiently waiting to get back to work.
Ever since the storm, we learned real quick to take one day at a time. We'll get everybody back together, customers, employees. It's going to be awesome.
Celine McArthur, Wink News.
Celine McArthur, Wink News. Yes, it is. And while the sellers don't want to reveal the exact price, we can tell you the land will be bought for under $10 million.
So he's a man with a plan, right?
Yep.
So the plan is right now to have the new cottage open sometime in 2024. You can see Celine's entire Man with a Plan series on winknews.com.